to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome to Ozark City Hall. We're glad you're here for the Board of Aldermen meeting and engaging with our elected officials. Listening to the perspectives of city residents, business owners, and other community members helps our elected leaders make more informed decisions. Before the meeting starts, let's review our rules of order. This ensures the meeting is orderly and efficient while allowing everyone who would like to speak the opportunity to do so. There are 2 opportunities for you to speak: during the agenda's scheduled visitor and guest portion and during the public discussion of new bills and resolutions. During the agenda's scheduled visitor and guest portion, anyone who signed up with the city clerk's office before 5 p.m. the Wednesday before the meeting can speak to the alderman about the topic they specified. During the public discussion of new bills and resolutions, anyone can give comments for the alderman to consider before they make a decision. The consent agenda bills are not open to comment. If you want to speak about an item on the consent agenda, you must sign up by noon the Friday before the meeting. You can do that by contacting the city clerk in writing, or fill out a card in council chambers before the meeting starts. Write down the specific bill and then give the card to the city clerk before the consent agenda is set. That bill will then go to a first reading, which is open to public discussion, and anyone may speak about it. Anytime someone is speaking, the following rules of order will apply. 1, only one person should speak at a time. Please be respectful of the person speaking and hold your comments until it's your turn. 2, anyone speaking must do so from the podium and speak into the microphone. 3, you must first provide your name and address in writing to the city clerk before beginning your comments. These forms are provided near the entrance. You also must state your name and address to the Board of Aldermen using the podium microphone. 4, all comments should be addressed to the mayor and aldermen. 5, all speakers have 5 minutes. A digital timer will show you the countdown. The light will change from green to flashing yellow when 2 minutes are left. It will stay yellow at the 1-minute mark. Your comment time is up when the light turns red. The mayor or alderman may have additional questions for speakers after this time limit. Occasionally, the board will invite someone to make a presentation during the meeting. This is only to give information. There will be no vote. These presenters also have no time limit to give their information. This meeting will be live streamed and recorded with video and audio unless there are technical difficulties. The use of cell phones and all other devices is discouraged during the meeting. Please silence your phones right now. Again, thank you for being here and engaging with the City of Ozark. The meeting will begin shortly.
Roll call, please.
Alderman Aiken.
Here.
Alderman Bolte. Here. Alderman Galloway.
Here.
Alderman Hutchinson. Here. Alderman Metcalf.
Here.
Alderman Montgomery.
Here.
We have 6 aldermen present. We have a quorum.
Okay, thank you very much. We have 2 set of minutes we're going to look at tonight from previous meetings. The first one is from May 21st, 2026. This is a non-legislative work session. Is there any questions regarding these as printed? Okay, not seeing any. Is there a motion to accept?
I moved we accept the May 21st non-legislative work session meetings as printed.
Do I have a second?
Second. Second.
Okay. The motion's made by Alderman Metcalf. It was seconded by Alderman Montgomery. All in favor of voting on the motion to approve the May 21st, 2026 non-legislative work session minutes, do so by show of hands. Okay. And it carries. Yeah. Now we look at the first. Now we're going to look at June 1st, the 2026 regular session minutes. Are there any questions regarding these minutes? Yes.
Mike, I'm just abstaining from
I
voting.
understand. Yeah, you was absent for that. Any questions about these minutes? Okay. 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 Is there a motion?
So moved.
Okay. And do we have a second?
Second.
Okay. So therefore, all in favor on the motion, the motion was made by Alderman Galloway, is seconded by Alderman Aiken. All in favor of voting on this motion to approve the June 1st, 2026 regular session minutes, do so by show of hands. And it does carry, and one is abstaining. Okay, there's no similar matters tonight, but we do have several scheduled visiting guests. We'll begin first with Buddy Huggins. You have the podium, sir.
Hey, everybody. I'm Buddy Huggins, and I'm back again. All right, we're going to be talking about Burger King. It's a subject that is well discussed, well talked about. It's obvious that people can see it, they drive by it. But what's really showing up is what I sent out an email for all of you people that got the email, is that the windows are going in too early. The EFF code number that talks about the actual structure effect of not having the building in its proper enclosement. That means a roof with a vapor barrier is not a roof. It means literally a real roof on it before the windows. And if I'm wrong about that, I'd love to y'all prove me right. But what I'm doing is setting the stage for transparency, because right now, everybody can see that that building is a mess. Just looking at it from the drive-by situation, the bushes are out of control. Little things like that. So when you focus on, oh, they're putting the windows in, that's great, but they're so far ahead of themselves, it's kind of like ridiculous. The cladding has to be on the building where the windows are. What it does is it keeps it from rain, the rain getting behind the window pane and the actual studs where it can turn to mold. So we already got a mold problem before we get started, because it has not had a roof on it for months and months. I'm not trying to tell everybody what I think. It's what everybody that drives by it thinks. So that's why we're here for transparency purposes, because in the long run, all of you have to know that you knew. You knew, as I was telling you, these steps along the way, starting with the foundation. Now we're talking about, why are the windows going in so early? It's not a good thing. And I want y'all to take in consideration in the years to come, the people that they're going to be actually thinking about is who was the enforcers for the codes. What did they do? What did they not do? Where is it going to get better? And when is it going to get better? By us talking about it, it's going to get better. The owner, I have no idea. Never have spoke to him. Only even the general contractor. Don't be deceived that there's a general contractor. There is a general contractor. We don't even know who they are. So everybody that shows up that does something like plumbing or electrical, have you ever noticed that they get enough done and they make a draw and they're gone? That's not good practices for Ozark, Missouri, for us to be able to not talk about it. We got to be able to have a conversation like reasonable people. Why is this building a mess? You can look at my playlist of the Sonic when they actually tore the old Sonic down and built the new Sonic. You can see how clad, the roof was on it and it was clad. So these videos are online at buddyhuggins.com on my YouTube channel. You search, for Sonic, Ozark, Missouri, like you search for Burger King, Ozark, Missouri. I am a historical photographer and videographer. I've been doing this for a long time. I literally started doing it in Mississippi. I've been here almost 12 years. I was already doing historical photography and videographer based around Mississippi flooding and their construction problems. So this has been something that I do. It's a hobby. But there's no reason that we can't talk about these incidences and make them where in the future the transparency will be that, yes, you took steps. it's pretty late to take a step on the foundation, but we're dealt those cards. So now we got to actually deal with what we're doing now. And it's obvious, everybody drives by, anybody that has any knowledge about construction can see that the windows are going in way too soon. Dang. Are y'all confused? The windows, way too soon.
Thank you, sir. Okay. Our next speaker is Paul White. You have the podium, sir.
Thank you all for having me tonight. My name's Paul White. I live at 141 Bayberry Drive in Ozark, a couple miles south of Apple Market. And I was wanting, I'm concerned about the speed limits on South Street and Jackson Street because there's 10 miles an hour difference. 45 when you come in the south side, 35 up here on the north side. So my question is, can the speed limit on Jackson Street be raised to 45 mile an hour to match South Street? Or if that can't be done, can they be balanced at 40 miles an hour each? I'd be happy to accept that, you know, even so that they're the same, because you kind of get a feel when you're driving just how fast you're going. I kind of know how fast I'm going without looking at the speedometer. And sometimes I'm up here on Jackson Street and I'm like, hey, I may be going a little bit too fast here. And then on South Street, I'm like, I might be going a little bit too slow. So I talked to MoDOT. They talked to them a couple months ago, and they said that they did a study on that. They were going to do a study on it, and they agree with me that the speed limit could be raised down here on Jackson Street. So they support that view. I talked with a guy named Tyler, I think it was, and so he probably has all the facts and the information on it. I could get that if need be for y'all, but he was certainly said their studies supported that. So I would even be in favor just if we could even the speed limits at 40 miles an hour each, if that were possible. Because when you go up the big long hill there, I believe that's 3rd Street, it's 35 mile an hour, and that's 2 lanes, and you've got 35 mile an hour out here on 5 lanes. So just wondered if y'all consider that. What is your part in that? Do you need to get with MoDOT, or do you need a petition, or is that something that you can look into? And if so, if there are some changes that can be made, how long until we might know something about those changes? And I guess that's pretty much all I've got on the speed limit issue.
Okay. Galloway has a question for you.
Oh, actually, for the city attorney, I think that you would know the answer. I think I know, but I just want to make sure that my thoughts are correct. Which governmental subdivision or which government controls the speed limit on those 2 streets?
I believe it's MoDOT, but I would also look to our Public Works Director to confirm that, or our police chief.
Somebody's nodding their head somewhere, but yeah, he's nodding his head. There he is.
Yeah. He's,
Okay.
He's saying yes.
And then in terms of MoDOT initiating a study so that they can change it, is there anything that a citizen or a board can do? I'll direct it to whomever, maybe the
Well,
public.
I'm going to have to defer to our Public Works Director or our Police Chief on those matters.
Okay.
Looks like our chief's coming up.
okay.
Okay. Well, thank you all.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Okay.
So to answer your question, those roadways are under the jurisdiction of MoDOT. In my time as your chief, in the last 6.5 years, the only conversations that I've ever had are right out here on 3rd Street, just kind of parallel to the historic river district. I do know that in these type of circumstances, they may try to get information from myself or maybe the Public Works Director, potentially some data or something like that. But we can reach out to them and see if that's a process where they have new data and they've considered all the facts that we would consider here locally if we were looking at a speed limit change on any roadway in the city.
Thank you. Yeah, I don't know that me as a single member of the board can give that instruction, and I don't know enough about road safety to know what the right answer is, but I wanted to make sure that the citizen heard as best as we can who's responsible. It's MoDOT. And then in terms of whether we can get them interested in it, I suppose it's just contact, I guess.
Yep. So we can start that discussion with them, and then obviously we can provide any data that they may request when making their decisions. But ultimately, the authority on those decisions lie with MoDOT.
Yeah, and I don't want to say that I can give that instruction because I can't. I'm one of 6, and then again, I don't know enough about speed limits to understand what the right decision is. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Alderman Hutchinson?
Mr. White, I had the exact same question. And about less than a month ago, I was in a transportation meeting and I asked the question of the MoDOT representative because it just didn't make sense to me. 5 lanes here, 5 lanes there, both have schools on them. And the reasons he gave me why this one was slower than the other one was the school kids at this one drive and the ones at the other do not. And there is an influx of traffic when they are changing classes that is overwhelming. And there have been a lot of accidents. He said they set the speed limits by traffic congestion, not just its flow, not just the amount of cars on it, but the congestion. And that one has more periods of congestion and also a lot more accidents than the other 5-lane MoDOT road does. And so that was what I found out, but it wouldn't hurt to inquire again.
Okay. So,
So
thank you.
I would just add, very well put. Those are a lot of the things that I understand. You also have to take into account the pedestrian traffic that is going to and from the OC. That is a pedestrian destination, especially now with our trails. Those are also things that they would consider as pedestrian traffic and stuff like that. So
I have a note to follow up this tomorrow morning at the agenda meeting. So thank you, sir.
thank you.
Okay. Now we're going to recognize our Chris Russell, CEO, President of the Ozark Chamber.
It's nice to get an opportunity to be back up here. Sorry I missed last month. Opportunity to meet Alderman Bolte and Alderman Montgomery. I am Chris Russell, the President and CEO of your local area Chamber of Commerce. And I believe we've got a few slides, right, Maria? We'll start off. You're going to hear me talking about this a lot. Obviously, we're still pushing our Shop Ozark initiative. That's something that's very important to us. But we are in the process, and if you come to Chamber events, you're going to hear this a lot. We're very excited about our Ozark Leads program that we're relaunching, something that was in this community a few years ago. It took a hiatus, and we've revamped it. We've met with a lot of the former people who've taken the class. And this is something that we're very excited about bringing this back. It'll be a 9-month program. We've talked about it before, and it'll be focusing on various entities throughout the Ozark community, whether it's public education, infrastructure, economic development, culture, history, all sorts of different topics, 1 day a month, each month. And if you go to the next one, I have a flyer for you. You obviously would love to have members of our aldermen and our leadership in our community to participate, but also this is a good thing to hand out. If you think, I can't commit to that, it's going to be the second, starting in September, it'll be the second week of each month on a Wednesday. And it'll run from September all the way through May. So the academic year is when we're going to run this program. But if you know somebody, hand this to them. Go, hey, I can't do this, but this might be great for you. If you really wanted to get to know more about the Ozark community, it is a little pricey of a program. It does cost a lot to put on something like this. However, we take payment plans. Contact me at the chamber. We'd be happy to make arrangements. And we just want to get great quality people in this relaunch of this program. So I encourage you to hand that out. I know that the city will have some representation there. We're excited about that. But as a volunteer, basically, I know you get a little bit of money, but you're a volunteer. It might be something that you may, hey, I really wanted to get to know my role a little bit better in this community. Okay, very good. And then speaking of that, we're also going to be sharing some time this month with the city of Ozark to give some updates. I'm sure some of it will be the new parks plan, hopefully. And I know Maria's got some things she wants to unveil to our chamber luncheon. So if you want to come and support the city of Ozark at the chamber luncheon, we encourage you to get a ticket. For those who are new, you get to pay the member price because you are a member of the Ozark community, or the Ozark city of Ozark, which is a member of the chamber, obviously. And then we'll have some other fun things that we're going to be doing with that as well. And then on top of that, First Friday Coffee is also a great event to get to know our community members, to the new aldermen. This is a free event we do once a month. The next one's going to be at the Vision Clinic. It'll be technically the second Friday because I think everybody's going to be gone the Friday before the 4th of July, so we moved it this month. It will be at the Vision Clinic, which is up on the north side of Ozark, if you will. It's over there by the golf cart place, so if you're interested in that, 7:30 to 8:30, it's free to attend. And then something Maria is very proud about is being part of the founding committee of Sisterhood and Success. That is July 17th, and that'll be from 11 to 1 at the Ozark Innovation Center. Tickets are on sale for now for that. And Maria, I don't even know what you guys got planned yet, but it's always amazing. So whatever it's going to be, it's fantastic, and we encourage you to participate in that. Guys, you're out, just FYI. And then if you love golf, we're putting the community first this year with our annual golf tournament. That will be October the 19th. And we have launched our Christmas theme for the year, and that is the Patriotic Christmas, excuse me, Stars, Stripes, and Christmas Lights, November the 21st. And we're already making plans for that. I confirm that our youth, our young entrepreneurial farmers market students will be back with us this year. They're trying to get at least 40 plus booths to be on the square with us, plus our normal activities that we do prior to the parade. And we're getting the theme out early because since we are going patriotic, we thought maybe people could buy, once the 4th of July hits, they can buy some clearance price, clearance items at Walmart, from patriotic stuff, and maybe they'll be thinking about that. And then I'll just end tonight. I know you're going to be talking about this, and I could have waited till after the presentation, but I'll just cover it right now so we can save some time. The Chamber of Commerce is obviously going to support this initiative and whatever happens with the parks, because parks does attract families and visitors and future business, which is always in alignment with our mission of growth. In addition to that, we support sustainable funding, whatever that looks like. I know that's a challenge you guys are going to be having, because really, truly, our parks programs do build a long-term economical vitality. And then the Chamber is also proud to be a partner with the city in fostering these community assets. So whatever we can do as a Chamber of Commerce to support the parks program and all things City of Ozark, you can count on us for that. Just wanted to make sure that was clear. So any questions? Okay, Mayor, 4 minutes.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Okay, we're now going to look now our consent agenda. And so, City Clerk, has anyone signed up to speak regarding Bill 3756 on the consent agenda?
No one has signed up.
Okay. Are there any two aldermen who wish for Bill 3756 to be removed from the consent agenda? Not seeing that. So next item on agenda is the consent agenda. I need a motion and a second to set the consent agenda for Bill 3756.
Motion to set the consent agenda.
Second.
Okay. There is a motion made by Alderman Aiken, second by Alderman Metcalf, to set the consent agenda. So all in favor to set the consent agenda for Bill 3756, do so with a raised hand. And that does carry. Now we need a motion and a second to read the consent agenda, Bill number 3756, by title twice.
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay. The motion made by Alderman Aiken, second by Alderman Metcalf. All in favor to read Bill number 3756 on the consent agenda by title twice, do so with a raised hand. And that does carry.
An ordinance of the City of Ozark, Missouri, authorizing the city to enter into an intergovernmental agreement with the Christian County Library District for community programming and education. I'll read the bill a second time. An ordinance of the City of Ozark, Missouri, authorizing the city to enter into an intergovernmental agreement with the Christian County Library District for community programming and education.
Okay, thank you very much. Now I need a motion and a second to approve Bill number 3756 to become ordinance 26-039.
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay. There was motion made by Alderman Aiken, second by Alderman Metcalf, which to approve Bill number 3756 to become ordinance 26-039. Roll call, please.
Alderman Metcalf,
Aye.
Alderman Montgomery,
Aye.
Alderman Aiken.
Aye.
Alderman Bolte. Aye. Alderman Hutchinson.
Aye.
Alderman Galloway.
Aye.
We have 6 aye votes, motion carries.
Thank you very much. We have one bill for second reading, which is Bill 3738. But before we discuss this bill, I need a motion to remove Bill 3758 from table because on March the 2nd, 2026, it had been tabled by the developer. Is a motion to do so?
So moved.
Okay, do we have a second?
Second.
Okay. Okay, motion made by Alderman Galloway, second by Alderman Montgomery. The motion is to remove Bill 3758 from table that was set on March 2nd, 2026. Roll call, please.
Alderman Galloway.
Aye.
Alderman Metcalf.
Did he say 3758?
I'm sorry, 3738.
Then aye.
Thank
Okay.
you for that correction.
Alderman Hutchinson.
Aye.
Alderman Aiken.
Aye.
Alderman Bolte. Aye. Alderman Montgomery.
Aye.
We have 6 aye votes, motion carries.
Okay, now we're going to read Bill number 3738 on its second reading. We need a motion.
I move that Bill 3738 be placed on its second and final reading by title only.
Second.
Okay, the motion is that we place Bill number 3738 on its second reading by title only. That motion was made by Alderman Hutchison. It was seconded by Alderman Galloway. All in favor of voting on the motion to discuss Bill 3738, do so by show of hands. And that does carry.
An ordinance of the City of Ozark, Missouri, amending the zoning code and official map by changing the zoning classification of certain real property located in the 1400 block of East Hartley Road.
Okay, thank you very much. This time we'll recognize Director Randall Whitman for a presentation.
Good evening. I'm going to kind of skip around a little bit. I'll go back briefly and give a little bit of a backstory on the timeline since it has been a while since we had the public hearing. And I will too, this is a kind of an unusual zoning request. It includes a conditional use overlay. So I'm going to take this opportunity, if you'll indulge me, to do a little bit of education and talk a little bit about this. The first one I've ever worked with here, and I don't think these happen very often, maybe under Cameron's watch, but we'll talk a little bit about this. So got one. I go back one, Maria. So this went to the Planning and Zoning Commission first in January. They had a public hearing. They made a recommendation to approve it. It was scheduled to come before the board on the 17th. We had a first reading, the same presentation I'm about to share. And it was scheduled to come back on March 2nd. At that time, it was right before the election. The applicant, perhaps uneasy about the pending results, asked to have it tabled, and it was tabled. So it's kind of been sitting dormant since then. Nothing has changed with the case. Nothing has changed in my presentation or the proposal. So we're just kind of picking up where we left off from last March. But this is a rezone for 1.85 acres of property on the southeast corner of Hartley and 14th Street. The applicants are requesting it to rezone it from single family and R1C district to a medium density multifamily district with some conditions. So that's the conditional overlay that will come with the rezoning. This is just a street shot of the property looking southeast. If you're sitting in the intersection, there's a slight elevation rise, but don't let that fool you. Everything flows right to the camera and to the southeast. So kind of keep that in mind, and that'll come up a little bit later when we talk about the property. So when we're considering any rezoning case, these are the guiding factors that are included in the zoning code. We look at the existing zoning classification of the property in the area where it sits. We look at the existing uses of the property itself and the general area around it. How does it relate to the recommendations from the city's comprehensive plan? Are there any trends in the area, other development that's occurring, use of other property adjacent to it, and that type of thing? And is the property suitable for the proposed uses allowed in the proposed zoning district? So we'll go through some of those things. But briefly, the conditional overlay district is it's just that. It's an overlay onto an existing zoning district. So it doesn't change. It can't increase anything within the base zoning district, in this case R3, but it can be applied to it to reduce some of those things perhaps to relieve or mitigate some of the issues that might come with that zoning, which is the case on this proposal. So it can reduce the screening. It can't reduce the screening, buffer yard requirements and things like that, hours of operation, but it can increase it. So if we need a larger buffer yard to mitigate the properties next to it, increase signage, or increase setbacks and that type of thing that can come with it. It can increase the standards for design with respect to the building, the height of the building, the setbacks on the site. If it's being platted, it can impact or reduce the required lot area, width, depth, and things like that. And of course, if there's any impacts identified, it can change or place conditions on driveway access and other public improvements, easements, and things like that necessary to kind of facilitate development of the property. So in this case, the property is currently undeveloped. It's unimproved. It is located in the city, and it's surrounded by all the properties that are also in the city. It's already platted. It was platted in 2003, and it was divided into 4 single-family lots. There's no improvements that were done with it, which is irregular when property is subdivided. There are some easements, but they're irregular, and they're inadequate to serve the property if it were to be developed in this way. So to kind of give it some scale, it's 350 feet of frontage across Hartley on the north side, 138 feet of frontage on 14th Street, and the east side, the longest side of the property is about 340 feet north to south. The zoning, as I said, the property is currently zoned R1C, which is a single-family zoning district. The property east, the property west, and the property north are all single-family, a couple different zoning districts, but it is single-family zoning. The property there to the southwest of it is also zoned R3, and then it's R3 further south of where those apartments are. And as a note, that's probably more of an R4 density, but it is zoned R3. So we look at the comprehensive plan. What guidance does it give us? It gives us guidance in a couple ways. It gives us a narrative and general expectations and goals the city should strive for over the course of the plan, but it also obviously looks at the future land use, zoning, and that type of thing. So just from a overall perspective, the comprehensive plan relative to this case does promote diversity in housing. It speaks to the need to have a variety of housing types serving a variety of portions of our population who are changing lifestyles, and to create character and things like that. It makes recommendations that we should do that through zoning codes, regulations, and things like this. In this case, it references smart codes, which we're not using smart codes in this zoning case, but the conditions will kind of move in that direction and put some of those things in place to a degree. So this is just a screenshot of what the comprehensive plan looks like for future land use. Particularly, this property is recommended for R3 multifamily. Everything in yellow is single family. Everything that property to the east in this darker brown, that's agriculture. And that's what the plan recommends for that. It obviously recommends the property that's already R3 to be R3. So this is an interesting geography. It's in a transition area from single family on the north to more intense development as you move further south towards South Street. So R3 is what it recommends, and that's what the application is submitted for. So some development considerations. For R3, there would be required buffer yards. Those yellow lines represent where those 25-foot buffer yards would be. There would have to be a minor subdivision to combine those lots back into one parcel, because developing it at 4 lots would create some dynamics that would almost make it impossible to develop as R3 with setbacks on each lot and things like that. So combining it is the best thing to do. The developer intends to do that. And that's one of the conditions you'll see here in a second when we come back to that. From a density standpoint, R3 allows 1 dwelling unit for every 2,500 square feet of real estate. If we did the math on this property, that equates to about 32 dwelling units. The developer is proposing about 20. So it's considerably less, and that's one of the conditions too that I'll show you in just a second. Public Works indicated that a sidewalk is probably needed on Hartley Street and 14th, but currently the infrastructure, the right-of-way width, and the geography of that just won't allow it. So at this point, I think they would recommend a buyout. So that'll be something that happens at the time of development. Other future development considerations: water and sewer infrastructure is there to serve it. There will have to be some minor extensions, but the utilities are there. As I said earlier, all the stormwater goes kind of to the, I think I said southeast earlier, didn't I? But I meant to say northwest. So in the top left-hand corner is where the water is going towards the intersection. 14th Street is a collector, Hartley is a primary, so there will be additional right-of-way required at the time of development during that minor subdivision. If you've been out there, there is one ideal place for a driveway where the existing driveway is, and that's what's shown where that little orange line is there. And a traffic study, which is required, would be done at the time of development. So we would be looking at what impact does 20 additional dwelling units have on the traffic at Hartley and 14th. So the conditional overlay, in addition to rezoning it to R3, we've talked with the developer and he agreed to these conditions. Most of these are things that he was going to do anyway. I don't think there's anything that's really unusual about his proposed project. He would be willing to limit the number of dwelling units to 20. Maximum building coverage would be 22,000 square feet. Just looking at it from a normal standpoint, if it didn't have a condition on it, setbacks and whatnot, otherwise he would develop it at maximum at about 27% of the lot. So that's just the buildings, mind you. That's not parking lots or other driveways and things like that. And again, we would ask him to submit a minor subdivision to combine all 4 of those lots into one. In addition to the site issues, he's agreed to restrict the buildings to 2 stories. He's agreed to materials, to limit that to masonry products, so concrete siding, brick, that type of thing. No vinyl siding. And each building, I think there's, I can't remember now. I think there's 2 buildings, but there may be potential for 3. Depends on how the configuration is, but each building would look different. So we wouldn't have a repetitive design theme. So the whole thing doesn't look identical building to building. That's kind of end of my presentation. We did, as I said, we had one individual speak at the public hearing who was opposed to the development on Hartley Street. Other than that, we've not had any opposition since March. And that's it. I do know the applicant is here if there's any questions for him, Nick Vinyansky, but otherwise I'll be glad to answer anything.
Any questions from the board?
I don't have a question for Mr. Whitman. I just wanted to make a couple points.
Okay.
One of which is procedural, and I didn't mention it when we had the motion to take the bill off or untable it. But I think as a board, procedurally, we could probably bring a little more formality to bear when there is a request by a property owner to table a bill. And I mean, I think that's on the board. I went back and looked at the minutes and asked Amanda to give me some advice on this as well. I don't think there was anything procedurally necessarily inadequate about how we did table the bill. I think it just potentially had the potential to create confusion. And so I went back and looked at the minutes and the meeting video, and there was no motion to table the bill and no vote taken. There was simply an announcement when the bill was brought up by the mayor that the applicant had requested that we table the bill. And he asked, I believe he asked if there was any objection. Nobody said anything, and we moved on. And the only reason I bring that up is because I was a little caught off guard myself when I saw that it was resurfacing, and maybe that was just my own confusion. But I think if I was confused, other people could be potentially confused. And so procedurally, I guess what I would recommend as a board that we take a vote, probably a roll call vote. I don't know. Whenever there's a motion to table something, even if it's at the request of the property owner, just so there's clarity and about what we're doing, and people aren't caught off guard when the bill resurfaces sometimes months later. As for the merits of the application, I went through kind of my mild disapproval of it last time it was brought up on first reading. Since we have some new board members, I'll just reiterate my thoughts. on that issue. I mean, I appreciate the applicant agreeing to the concessions in the form of the conditional overlay. And I think for me, that made it a close call. But the way I see it is you have 14th Avenue is, I mean, whatever the nomenclature, it's the road that connects the single, yeah, if you don't mind going back, it's a collector, whatever the nomenclature is, it's a connector between Hartley and the arterial road, the 14th, Highway 14. And as you go north, you get a decrease in the intensity of land use going from, you go from Dollar General, commercial use, to Excelsior Gardens, which I didn't realize you might say that's even closer to an R4 density. And then the next lot north of that is zoned R3. To me, I look at that map and I just see that vacant R3 as the logical transition between this quasi R4 and commercial development to the south, and then the predominant, well, exclusively single family area to the north. And so that's kind of, I don't know if that's the appropriate planning and development way of looking at it. I mean, I think you'll also have to take into account that the comprehensive plan designates it for R3. This just happens to be one parcel where I think I disagree with the comprehensive plan. I think the people who purchased single family lots along Hartley there deserve a little bit of a buffer between their homes and a multiple two-story buildings with all the parking and congestion that creates. So I appreciate the concessions. I come down narrowly against this, so I will be voting no.
Okay. Alderman Hutchison.
Yes, just to build on what Board of Aldermen Chris Aiken was saying. I'd always understood in zoning that you moved with a graduated density and graduated use from commercial, and then the high density apartments, and then next might be lower density duplexes or something like that into the single family. But when you look at what they're asking for these four lots, it's right in the middle of single family on two sides, definitely three sides. And so it doesn't seem like that is really in keeping with what I understood how it's supposed to work in going from commercial into residential neighborhoods. And as far as more diverse housing, we always hear that, but it's never more diverse than what we already have. It's just apartments. It's not townhouses. It's not condominiums. It's not duplexes. It's not a different kind of housing than we have now. So I guess I don't buy that argument too much when we use it like that. I think maybe it's a misuse. Then the pedestrian and auto traffic on Hartley. We have heard over and over and over in other proposals. Hartley is a 2-lane street, narrow shoulders, if any shoulders at all, no place for people to walk or get to places otherwise. And I cannot see pouring more dense traffic onto Hartley. It's the main feeder into that school on down the road. And it just seems like we're not benefiting the neighborhood around it. With this lot in particular, these lots in particular, you back up to the one south of that, perhaps, and maybe half of the one to the east of it. But this seems inappropriate to me. And also I had a question too about the sidewalk buyouts. It said it's eligible. Can you tell me what makes it eligible for a sidewalk buyout instead of having to put sidewalks in there?
This is a great opportunity for bringing up, Jeremy, did you like this? Of course he would.
Yes, so there's basically three criteria that allows the applicant to determine, and then staff also looks at those. But one of them is the open ditches in this case. The cost can also be considered in a case where it's cost prohibitive. And I'm missing one. Cameron, we worked on these a long time ago. Future development, yes. And I do believe that we show a trail on our master trail plan through here. So we were trying to show connectivity in kind of a more efficient manner. And it's eligible. It doesn't mean that staff agrees with the buyout, but it is eligible per the code based upon those criteria.
As it is now.
Yes.
Because this seems like would be a perfect start to start walkability on this, that we need to have Hartley to be walkable, because especially with apartments, people don't all have cars. They don't have ways to get from one place to another. And it's dangerous too. I've seen people walking on there and it's dangerous. So those are my objections. And I do appreciate the, as Mr. Akins said, the concessions of the developer. He's not doing as dense as he could with this request. But at the same time, I don't think that's the appropriate place to start, to move away from the single family. I think it needs to start a little further south. And so I will also be voting against it.
Galloway.
I support the proposal, and there's a number of reasons why. I guess the global reason is that I feel that people who are looking to invest in Ozark, we want to draw the right sort of developer. This person's reputation has been that he has built quality work in the past. And we want to draw, we will get the right kind of developer if they believe that we're going to follow our processes. So let's review our processes. We have a comprehensive plan. The comprehensive plan is publicly available. It's professionally derived. It is voted on by the board. It is something that developers look at when they're making a decision about whether to buy property and develop property. And this use is identified as appropriate within the comprehensive plan. I'm not a developer, and I don't know if it's the first thing I'm looking at when looking at land, but I'm certainly thinking that I can rely on a city that has voted on it, that has secured professional help to put it together, who's published it, to keep that in mind. Second, we have an all-volunteer board, and that's the Planning and Zoning Board. They take hours of their month to come and sit here without getting any money, and they listen to the public come in, and there was noted in here that there was some public pushback. They look at the comprehensive plan, they factor in everything, and they make decisions. I will say that there is no presumption that we can provide of accuracy for P&Z, but I do prefer their decisions when they, whether they support something or not, for the very practical reason that I'd like them to come back next month. And if we as a board turn them down repeatedly, and this is just one time, and it's early in our terms following the election, that's exactly, I can tell you from experience, what will happen. So if we turn them down, it doesn't mean that I haven't ever voted against P&Z. I certainly have in the past. I always start with, I have a preference for it because I value your time. And here, they're acting consistently with our code. If you look at your packet, it all fits within the factors that they are supposed to be ranking. So they are not only within deference here. I mean, they followed the code. They followed the comprehensive plan. They factored these things. There isn't anything about their decision objectively that's incorrect. In terms of the use, I want to point out that we have a developer that could have come up with a 32-unit development multifamily for this particular proposal, and this use that was identified in the comprehensive plan as appropriate. But he was willing to reduce it down to 20. I think that's significant because that Excelsior Gardens Apartments, I don't know if you've driven by there, that's 104 units. We're adding 20 to a corner that has 104. It is separated by one single lot. There is an element of common sense here too, just in terms of independent thinking. It is not a stretch one lot away to approve a 20-unit development as P&Z recommended. This development is also happening in the side of Ozark in a way that I think we want to encourage. We need Ozarkers that most of us, 80% of us, get up, go to work in Springfield, and we do our shopping there, pay our retail, and we buy them nice parks and nice roads and good police cars. I'm sure our police cars are pretty good. Anyway, but people who live on the south side tend to shop here, and I like development on the south side. I want people to live here on the south side. It's beneficial to our community. And I think that should be considered. But the thing that I want to point out too is design. One of the things that Randall has brought with him, because he started here, was it 2 years ago?
Year and a half.
Year and a half, is a really strong understanding of design and how that can assist people's property values when buildings are put in. It's not so much multifamily use, but what does it look like? And are the materials something that will stand the test of time? Those were put into this plan by dialogue with this developer. And I believe that that is the way that we should be looking at things. And in part because I live in a neighborhood where I have voted for apartments to come in, that I have, it's agriculture, but I also have large single lot. I have apartments, I got multifamily, and then lots of small single families. And I can tell you our property values are not just strong, but they're growing. A lot of it has to do with just, fortunately, a lot of the buildings were well designed, but not all of them. And I wish that some of them were better looking, but it doesn't matter. It's not the use that's bringing it down, or the fact that they're apartments, or the fact that we've got different types of units there. So, you know, there isn't anything here about this that should cause the board to go in alarm and say, oh, that comprehensive plan, we can't look at it. Oh, the P&Z, what are they thinking? No, common sense tells you 104 units nearby, good design, lower, voluntary lower amount of units. This is an appropriate development. And every vote that we make on developments is a precedent that other developers follow. And I want the right developers looking at us, and the right developers are looking at us to follow through on our processes.
Oh, Aiken, who's next?
Yeah, I think those are all reasonable points. I think it's a lot in an application about which reasonable minds can can disagree. It's been a while since we've had one of these that's divided the board, but I think this is one of those that's a little different. As far as the Planning and Zoning Commission, I guess I disagree with that point a little bit. I don't know. I've never been on that commission. I don't think I would take umbrage at maybe I would. I don't think I would take umbrage at the board voting down a zoning application that I had recommended. I think their role is a little bit different as non-elected officials. If I'm on the P&Z commission, I think my attitude would be err on the side of sending stuff up to the elected body. And because if it's a close call, it should be the elected body voting it yay or voting it nay. So I guess I'm not, if they understand that role differently, I guess that's fair. That's how I would see my role as a P&Z commissioner, having never served on that board. And then the comprehensive plan is certainly an important factor, but it's not the only. It's one of 5 factors, and I don't think they all weigh in favor of the application. I think if you look at the existing uses, the existing zoning in the surrounding area, it's much more of it's not clear cut. It's more of a mixed bag. Some of those factors weigh in favor of the application, and some of them weigh against. I just think there happen to be more of those factors weighing against than weighing in favor, conceding that, yes, the comprehensive plan did designate that for R3, but again, that's not dispositive. That's just one of 5 factors in play here.
Yes, ma'am. You're next.
I value the discussions we have here. It always makes me think from another point of view as well. And as someone who did serve on P&Z for several years, I do feel like the roles are different. And I would really appreciate the respect that this board pays to P&Z and the people who serve there, but also recognizing that they have a more limited view, and it's not the same role. Otherwise, why have an elected board? You know, if you're just going to take what they say as what we should follow, it gives it more weight, I think, in what they advise and what they want send to us. But I'm also a strong believer in process, and this board is part of that process. The process does not end with P&Z or with the comp plan. And the comp plan is a guiding document, and ours is getting rather dated and needs to be updated. I think we're looking at that with our budget, of updating it. And so it is a guiding document, and there are other things to be taken into effect since that went into. Traffic is one of them, pedestrian, the desire for a way to walk different places is another. And so I think I am also an advocate for process, but I think we are part of that process. And thank you.
Metcalf.
Yeah.
Your light's on. Okay.
Thanks. I'd just like to make a comment. I'm definitely voting yes for this. I think it's actually perfect. My take is that this development in this corner is the best we're going to get in this city for that property. I don't believe that single-family homes will be built there, and the larger density would probably not help. I think that this development will actually facilitate in the future better traffic on Hartley. I think that the percentages of a road being changed or fixed or sidewalks put in and safety things happening before congestion, it like basically never happens. The development, the congestion, the buildings, they have to go up, they have to come in, the problems have to be seen, and then the road improvements are then made when it has to happen. So I actually think this particular development is perfect for that location. And I believe it will facilitate other developments that will eventually get Hartley's road safety across the finish line. And without it, it'll be stagnant, nothing will happen, and we won't move the ball down the field. So I'm definitely for it. I love everything about it. Thank you, Director.
Okay. Alderman Montgomery, you're next.
It's my understanding that you said that there was only one objection from the residents in that area.
Yeah, yes, one person who attended the public hearing and spoke against it, yes, sir.
All right. I think that's something that's to be considered as well. Thank you.
Okay. Okay. Any other comments from the board? Appreciate the discussion we've been having. Thank you, sir. This is a second reading, so
Mayor, I move to place Bill 3757 on its first reading by title and, oops, already did that.
and I did misspoke. It's 3738.
3738.
I did say
moved-
5 earlier. I apologize.
I move to adopt Bill 3738 as ordinance 26-040.
Okay. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay. The motion is to place Bill 3738 to become ordinance 26-040. That motion was made by Alderman Hutchison. It was seconded by Alderman Galloway. Roll call, please.
Alderman Hutchinson,
Nay.
Alderman Montgomery,
Aye.
Alderman Bolte. Aye. Alderman Aiken,
Nay.
Alderman Galloway,
Aye.
Alderman Metcalf.
Aye.
We have we have 4 aye votes, 2 nay. Motion carries.
Thank you very much. Now we're going to draw attention to, we have first readings. We have 2 bills for formal public hearing. The first one is bill number 3757.
I move to place Bill 3757 on its first reading by title and description only.
You have a second?
Second.
The motion is to place bill 3757 on its first reading by title only. That motion was made by Alderman Hutchison. It was seconded by Alderman Aiken. All in favor of voting on the motion to discuss bill 3757, do so with a show of hands. And that does carry.
An ordinance amending the corporate boundaries of the city of Ozark, Missouri by annexing an approximately 3.67 acre parcel of real property located at Finley River Park.
Okay, the public hearing now for bill 3757 is now open. We're going to now welcome back our Community Development Director, Randall Whitman.
Thank you. Okay, yeah, this is, the next 2 agenda items are both the same property. One of them looks at annexing this city-owned property. The next agenda item will look at rezoning that same property. So this is a 3.76 acre tract of land. It's located on the east side of the Finley River on the north end of Finley River Park. It's owned by the city of Ozark. It's managed by the Parks and Recreation Department. Its current use is part of the park. That's where the location of the soccer fields are. It was dedicated to, or excuse me, given to the city by deed in 2011 from the Public Funding Corporation. This is basically a proposal brought forward as a desire to have city-owned property. The city maintains, the city maintains inside the city limits where our police department, our parks department, where it's under their jurisdiction. So it's really not any more complicated than that. The state statutes, though, guide any annexation. So we look at, is the property currently in the city limits? It's not. Is it compact and contiguous to the city limits? It is. It's compact, or it's adjacent to the city limits on the south side. The property is in good standing. The city has clear title to the property. And in this case, it is in Tier 1 of our urban service area agreement with Christian County. So we'll talk a little bit more about zoning. Primarily, everything north of it is an agricultural or a county zoning district. Everything south of it is single family where the park is. Just as before, looking at guidance from the comprehensive plan, the comprehensive plan says we should adhere to the requirements or the recommendations from the urban service area agreement we have with the county. Should encourage development to connect to the city's utilities. And in this case, the comprehensive plan recommends that the property be used for a parks and recreation use, which it currently is. We had a public hearing last month on May 26th. There was some opposition from a property owner on the east side on Short Road, I believe it. And there was some questions asked about the impact of this on that property, that subdivision, the extension of that street, and some questions about the city's intentions. I'm going to let Hayden talk about the Parks Master Plan and how this impacts it, if that's okay with you during the rezoning, so you only have to hear from him once. You'll have to hear from me twice. But other than that, there were no opposition in the public hearing. Staff recommends approval as well as the Planning and Zoning Commission. So be glad to answer any questions.
Any questions from the board? Okay, I am not seeing. Thank you, sir. Okay. Is there anyone here from the public who wishes to speak for bill number 3757? Okay, I see no movement. Anyone here who would speak against bill 3757? Okay, I see no motion. Therefore, the public hearing for bill 3757 is now closed, and bill 3757 will be held for a future meeting. Now we're going to draw attention to bill number 3758.
Mayor, I move to place Bill 3758 on its first reading by title and description only.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay. Okay, the motion is to place bill 3758 on its first reading by title only. That motion was made by Alderman Hutchison. It was seconded by Alderman Montgomery. All in favor of voting on the motion to discuss bill 3758, do so by show of hands. And that does carry.
An ordinance of the City of Ozark, Missouri, amending the zoning code and official map by changing the zoning classification of certain real property located at Finley River Park.
Okay, the public hearing now for bill 3758 is now open, and we'll welcome back Director Randall Whitman.
I think one time Mayor Kearns called me doctor. I was kind of hoping he would do that again, but not tonight, I guess. As I said, there's some redundant information. This is same property. It's on the north side of Finley River Park. It's adjacent to the Finley River, and it's accessible from the park from Finley River Road. These are the guiding factors we just talked about in the previous case. What's the current zoning? What's the zoning of the surrounding property? What's the use of the surrounding property, the current use of the property? What's the comprehensive plan recommend? And what's any trends that are happening in the area? And does that impact consideration of any zoning changes? And is, of course, the property suitable for development or a development that's allowed within that zoning district? In this case, the property is a county rural residential district. It's agriculture A1 on the west side of the river, on the north side of the property, and it's a rural residential subdivision just on the east side. The park itself, Finley River Park, is zoned R1C, which is a single-family zoning district, which is, it's not the most restrictive zoning district we have. The city has an agriculture district, but single-family zoning allows parks. I think we had a presentation about this. It is an appropriate zoning district for a park, and that's what staff recommends. That's what the comprehensive plan recommends as well. We have parks, by the way, that are zoned commercial. So I think we talked about there's some trends there that's hard to kind of follow. But the comprehensive plan does recommend this property be used for parks and recreation space, which is what it's currently used. And Hayden's going to talk in a minute about the Parks Master Plan and any guidance he can give from his perspective. I will add the entire property is located in a floodplain. Everything you see in that red hatched area is actually a floodway. Undevelopable, I think we all know why. Everything in the blue area is in a 100-year floodplain. So this property has very limited use. It's a good place to have a passive park, soccer fields, and that type of thing. So zoning it doesn't change any of those dynamics.
Yeah.
That's just kind of goes.
Well, that was the gentleman's one concern because he thought we could be building houses on that property. And we explained to him because of FEMA and the floodplain, we can't. I mean, the soccer field is really the best use for it because of the flooding. That's one of his main concerns.
With that, the Planning and Zoning Commission did recommend approval of this as well as the annexation in May. There was just that same opposition from that same gentleman. Other than that, staff recommends approval. Hayden, do you want to? If you have questions for Hayden, I don't mean to.
Okay. Do we have questions from the board?
I just thought he would want to brag about his parks and his master plan and all that, so.
He's going to get his chance in a second.
Okay, we'll leave it right there then.
Okay. I see no question from the board. Okay, is there anyone here from the public that wishes to speak for Bill 3758? This is your opportunity. Okay, is there anyone here who would speak against Bill 3758? This is your time to come to the podium. I see no movement. The public hearing for Bill 3758 is now closed, and it will now be held over to a future meeting. Now we're going to draw attention to the new bill, Bill number 3759.
Your Honor, I move that we place Bill number 3759 on its first reading by title and brief description only.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay. Bill number 3759 is placed on first reading by title only. That motion was made by Alderman Metcalf, seconded by Alderman Galloway. All in favor of voting on the motion to discuss Bill 3759, do so by show of hands. And that does carry.
An ordinance of the City of Ozark, Missouri, adopting the Ozark Parks and Recreation Master Plan.
Thank you very much. And now we will recognize Director Hayden Pont.
Good evening. It is very exciting to be here and present this before you all tonight. This is a project that started in the fall of 2024. Of course, moving to a contract with SWT Design in April of 2025. There have been a number of meetings and various interactions with the public, with the board throughout that time. But ultimately, this sets a vision for the future. This is very exciting for our team because it gives them something to unite around and ultimately allows us to be intentional with the development of our park system for the next 10 years. I appreciate Director Whitman teeing me up there, but ultimately, everything that we do now is going to be defined by this park master plan. This is tied directly to the needs of our community, and ultimately it allows us to do things again with intentionality. As we look at Penley River Park, we know what those fields will look like in 10 years. We know that they're going to continue to be green space, open space. There will not be houses. There will not be anything substantial in that floodplain and floodway. But ultimately, it's something we're very excited about. That being said, I want to let the individuals who did the work to get us to this point speak. So our friends with SWT Design, Jay Wolschlager and Scott Rund are here this evening to present just a few slides to talk about the process, what brought us here. I promised the mayor that we would not go through all 600 pages of the master plan, but I do believe that those are in the packet for you all to review if you would like. But with that, I'll turn it over to Jay.
Thank you, Hayden. Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the board. As Hayden mentioned, it's an exciting night. We appreciate being here. I'm Jay Wolschlager, a partner, landscape architect at SWT, and Scott Rundy, a partner and landscape architect planner as well. We've been a part of this since the beginning. It's been a lot of fun. It's always great to be at this point, but it's a little bittersweet because the process and the time we get to spend with communities is a lot of fun as well. You build relationships, you build a lot of good conversation. Doesn't mean it ends here by any means. You know, we see a plan like this as that first step to the next piece, which is action and moving forward. So as Hayden mentioned, we really did want to go through all 600 pages with you tonight and just sort of walk you through everything. But instead, we've got 10 slides that just kind of capture the final document, give you kind of an overview of what we put together and what's in that report, and then just sort of summarizes kind of where we go from here. So just to kind of give you the high level overview, the document itself is set up in 5 sections. Kind of section 0, or the first section, is that executive summary and introduction overview of the plan and the process itself, followed by the 4 sort of core actions that we took throughout this planning process, starting with the inventory and analysis, then assessing that and evaluating that in the needs assessment, the recommendations, and then finally the action plan. And each of these sections we'll just highlight here in a minute, but they go through kind of how we got to where we were in that phase and what we took away as sort of recommendations or sort of conclusions or summaries for each of those steps. Kind of the inventory, or excuse me, executive summary introduction is pretty self-explanatory. So kind of going on to the inventory and analysis, that section itself has sort of 7 parts to it. We start with an overview of some of even what's been talked about this evening already, the planning efforts that have been done by the city that impact Parks and Recreation as well. So the comprehensive plan, the corridor plan, the previous parks plan, we look at each of those and sort of pull out both the successes, especially from the previous plan, but then some of those action items that overlap those other plans. We looked at each park individually, give an overview of that. We looked at some of the main structures within the park system and have an overview and summary of those. Now, we did an overall sort of system-wide inventory and conversation, and then we highlighted and summarized the engagement that we heard throughout the process in both of the public meetings, the stakeholder meetings, meeting with the board, and sort of summarized that information, as well as did a series of studies of demographics and market assessments that kind of fall under the assessment side of it, but really looking to build that foundation. The end of this section has a series of conclusions that we walk away with from this effort that then guides us to the needs assessment. So we take those takeaways and that information into this next section of the document. Here we focus on what are some of those lenses, what are some of those factors that are important to your community that are going to drive decisions to be made about Parks and Recreation looking forward. So we did a community survey back at the end of in the fall and late fall of last year, sort of October into November. And we had a great response to that. So we have a lot of great feedback that's in this document, summarized in the document in full 300-page detail in the appendix. We also looked at that recreation market potential, which is some of that study that was done by our consultants at Ballard King. And these are all, like I mentioned, lenses. These are things that we want to look at the park system through. We looked at benchmarking from the National Recreation and Parks Association. That gave us a reference point of communities of similar sizes. And then we looked just at the system itself and where your parks are located and the impact and value that those parks bring based on where they are and the accessibility that your community has to your parks. And again, at the end of this section, there's sort of a summary of conclusion and takeaways there, which led us to recommendations. So this is the largest section in the document. This is what we gave you an overview of at the legislative luncheon a few weeks ago. But this section highlights 6 areas or focus areas for the recommendations. We have overall system-wide recommendations. We have recommendations that look at the specific properties, both developed and undeveloped within the community, parks and undeveloped properties. We looked at connectivity and trails, a series of recommendations there, as well as getting into the programming, events, and recreation services that are offered, some high-level operational, sort of internal guides for the department itself, and then an overlay of maintenance conversations that apply both to the structure that's already in place within the maintenance department and division, as well as thinking about what the implementation of a plan like this might mean and looking forward to opportunities and challenges that will be faced and trying to get out ahead of those, thinking holistically. And then the last piece that we put into the document was an action plan. So we took all of that information and sort of came up with a direction and some guidance that might give flexible but direction for the department looking forward. So there's sort of 4 components to that. And I did want to share a little bit about those tonight with you, again, at a very high level. Starting with, we have all these recommendations. We want to provide some context for the department, for city leaders to be able to think about and identify and maybe prioritize action items that come out of a document like this. So on the left-hand side is a page from the report, from the action plan that highlights the system-wide recommendations. And then on the right-hand side there are some of the different factors that we include in this matrix to give you some context as you're looking at it. So we have what we call community priorities, which are looking at what came out of the survey. What did we hear from the community when we asked a question about where their priorities were if they were given $100 to invest in the park system? So those become some guides that we want to sort of highlight. Do the recommendations align with one or more of those community priorities? Those are the four colored columns there in the center. To the left of that, we try to give each recommendation a category. So is it a recommendation that focuses on growth? Are we adding to what is already part of the system? Is it a reinvestment recommendation? Is it something to enhance or elevate what's already in the system? Then we have operational recommendations, and then recommendations that are aligned more with partnerships. So expanding those opportunities that you have. We also look at timeline. Are the recommendations, do they seem to fall in maybe a 1 to 5 year implementation potential? Are they a little longer, 6 to 10 years? Or are they something that's going to take maybe getting started now, but it's going to be a longer term implementation? So that's kind of that 11 plus years. We touched briefly on funding sources. So there's a lot of overlap and opportunity here, but just at a first pass, how do some of these recommendations align with some of the funding? And we keep it very simple. Traditional funding is something that's usually a budgeted reoccurring funding source. And alternative funding is something that's usually more of a one-time, a grant, a donor, something like that can be looked at sort of a single package. So we start to at least align what recommendations might be best served by those different funding types. And then finally, it's looking at, what entity or what group would be sort of the responsible for kind of kickstarting these recommendations. So they don't all require Hayden and his team to take the first step. There's some that maybe require leadership to do that, city leadership. There's some that are internal driven through maintenance or programming. And then there's some that really require outside partnership. They're not something that the city's going to take on themselves. So really quick, high level, try to give all of these recommendations some context for when you're reviewing and evaluating them. And a lot of this is fluid too. Over time, these different factors may evolve or change. The other thing that we did on each of these sections, and you'll see at the very bottom there, it says implementation priority preferences. Based on the feedback and the direction that we receive from the public, from staff, from our team, we also pulled out 3 or 4 of these recommendations for each section that seemed to come to the top when it came to priority. So we pulled those out to highlight those in each section. For the parkland section itself, we also put more detail into each of the park properties. There's these little boxes here that highlight, they're really a budget evaluation of the recommendations for each park. So on the left-hand side, under the key are the different areas that are highlighted in the park recommendation section. We again aligned these recommendations with those community priorities that came out of the survey. And then we have these sort of budget ranges. At this level of planning, we can't put hard numbers to these recommendations, but we can kind of put them in a classification. So we have sort of 5 levels of budget, under 50,000 all the way up to greater than 750,000. And we tried to align one of those budget ranges with each of the recommendation areas. Again, to give staff and the community an understanding of what it's going to take to move some of these forward. And then for each of those, we also gave a priority as it aligns with implementation within that park. So it's not against other parks. It's looking specifically at that park, what might be the prioritization of some of these recommendations. I thought I had one more slide. We also, I'll jump back here really quick. The last piece in this document is an early action item list, where it's really boiling everything that we just talked about down to what are some of the recommendations, the thoughts that kind of rose to the top out of all of that. And on the right-hand side there, you'll see we have a series of sort of implementation action items and planning action items. And these are coming out of this process. If there's a desire to move things forward, some of these are already in the works. Some of them just came to the top as being really important to the community and staff as a whole. So these are a good place to kind of think about, where can this plan go right out of the gate? What can be done to sort of put some boots on ground? So we like to highlight those as part of the process. And that's the document. We have this slide that really just sort of summarizes what we see as sort of the role and what a master plan is. For us, and I think it was mentioned earlier, and even in some of the other planning efforts, it's about consensus and vision. It's about can we create a direction and an understanding that everyone gets behind? It becomes a foundation, it becomes a direction, it becomes a tool for a lot of things, for funding, for partnerships, and for communication. But it is also, a document that is very fluid and flexible and doesn't get implemented tomorrow and all at once. It requires additional design, it requires additional approval as it moves forward, but it becomes a strong foundation from which to build upon. And with that, we just want to say thank you. We appreciate the board, Hayden and his team, giving us the opportunity to work with the community, to work with you. It was a great process. We had a lot of great involvement. Your community loves your parks, but they also identified that there's opportunity and there's a vision that they have for what they'd like to see the Ozark Park system be, and we were just thankful to be a part of it. This is not the end. We're always available. If there's additional questions or you need anything, just let us know. And thank you again. If there's any questions, be happy to answer those.
Aiken, you're first.
Jay, I just mainly wanted to say thank you for putting together such a polished and professional document.
Yes.
I haven't had a chance to read all 600 pages, but I've had a chance to go through it a little bit, and I can tell it's incredibly thorough, and I just appreciate all the effort and attention to detail. And I'm sure we will be looking back and consulting that document now for years to come, and it'll be, like you said, it'll be kind of our guiding compass for Parks and Recreation. Anyway, since you're at the finish line here, I just wanted to ask you kind of a cliche question that you probably get. Having done, I assume, other communities, what stands out to you about Ozark, if anything, about anything really, our existing park infrastructure, opportunities or challenges that lay ahead? I'll just leave it kind of open-ended.
Yeah, no, it's a great question. I think every community has those things that stand out. I think here, just the level of involvement was great. So many things that are going on between, having been able to work on Garrison Springs and leading up to this and starting this. I think the big thing for us that stood out was the opportunity with natural resources and the identity for Parks and Recreation that could be built around that Ozark has within the system that you already have. I mentioned Garrison, even the idea of activating the Finley River and the connectivity that you have along the Finley with several of the park properties is something that's unique. You don't see that a lot in other communities that have that opportunity with a park system. There's a lot that will go into that to make that happen. It's not as easy as just saying, everybody jump on the Finley and let's go, let's celebrate the Blue Way or the River Trail. But there's a real opportunity there. And we heard a lot of that in the community feedback, that there was a desire. Yes, there is the traditional fields and programs that people and events that people really appreciate and want to see more of. But there was a lot of highlighting the opportunity for natural resource, both education as well as recreation. And the foundation is there to be able to build on. So it's something that's exciting. I think the other big takeaway is that with everything that you have, there is a potential for a recognized desire for maybe deferred maintenance and services within the parks, and a need to really think about expanding the footprint of Parks and Recreation to better serve the community as a whole. But those things take time, not something you can do overnight again, but recognizing that and be able to build on that. I think those are the two big takeaways. The uniqueness you have and the opportunity for growth would be the two big takeaways. So Scott, I don't know if you have anything to that. So.
Okay, thank you. Other board members, questions for Jay? Thank you very much.
Well, great. Well, thank you, everyone. Appreciate it.
Appreciate it. Is anyone here tonight wishing to speak regarding Bill 3759 from the audience? Yes, sir.
Tom Kudamelka, 1952 North Harpers Hill Road, Ozark. I want to commend the council and staff for what they're doing, focusing in the future, and for what Hayden and these gentlemen have done. They have included the Christian County Agriculture and Mechanical Society from day one to get our views, to hear their opinions and things. And the 12th of last month, the society has regular meetings. These gentlemen came down and presented their 3 options to us and just absolutely buried us in information. And it took a long time to sort out. Even after the meeting, you go through and you see the pictures and you think about things. And even though we were kind of overwhelmed at the time, each member was given an opportunity to state their opinions, either way, any concerns. And it was overwhelmingly for the event park, moving the ball diamonds someday. And let's face it, we know why. I don't think the river got there this week, but too many times. And of course, the ongoing cost of redoing those ball diamonds every time they get up like that, it just gets to be overwhelming. Well, even though Ozark has done a wonderful job. So that's really about all I have to say. But the society as a whole really appreciates being involved. We know there's a long way to go. It's not going to happen overnight. And wish you all the best of luck. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, Alderman Galloway.
I had a question for you. So we're going to be voting on adopting this Parks Master Plan. And the A&M Society's role in the city of Ozark in preserving that riverfront property for agricultural, mechanical purposes, that parkland, the public just thinks so much of it. What do you see as the next step in terms of coming together with the city to find that joint purpose? You were saying, event was event centered.
Hayden and I have discussed this quite a bit. For several years, the society members wish to improve through the city of Ozark the park. More pavilions, play equipment, whatever. And obviously, a lot of things that could have been done would have been done through grants, but since there was no long-term lease, those grants were never even applied for. And one thing that I've talked to the members and I've talked to Hayden is trying to get a lease long enough in term that would cover this. Now, whether the members actually go for it and what that number is, I have no idea. But we've been talking about it, and we understand the city needs more lease time, and hopefully we can get it.
So the next step, you think, would be to have discussions about the lease and timeframes and that sort of thing? Is that?
Yes, in fact, like I say, the contract comes up this fall, and Hayden and I and the members have already been discussing it. So if there's any changes we, thought we ought to make, and same way with Hayden. Big thing I think is the term. Make sure it's long enough that Conservation Commission or whoever would have guarantees that whatever was put in would stay in for however long they recommended.
Okay. All right. Thank you, sir.
Okay. Thank you. Anyone else from the board? Questions? Okay. Anyone else from the public? I want to make sure I don't cut anybody short. Okay, I am not seeing it from there, so therefore, Bill 3759 will be held for a future meeting. Now we'll draw attention to Resolution 2042.
Motion that we read Resolution 2042, Your Honor.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay. The motion is that we read Resolution 2042. That motion was made by Alderman Aiken. It was seconded by Alderman Hutcherson. All in favor of voting on the motion to discuss Resolution 2042, do so by show of hands. And that does carry. Anyone opposed? Okay. I'm sorry, I didn't see how you voted. I'm sorry. Okay, thank you. Sorry about that. I missed that. Okay, it does carry.
A resolution appointing directors to the Board of Directors of the Highway J and 17th Street Community Improvement District. I will be introducing this resolution.
Yes.
This resolution is asking the board to consider the appointment of a board of directors to this community improvement district, or a CID. A CID is a separate political subdivision of the state of Missouri, so it's similar to a city. But one thing under the state statute and the CID's petition is that they are required to come to the Board of Aldermen to make appointments to their board. And so this is what they are doing as reflected in the state statute and their petition. This specific CID is related to a convenience store. It's about a 3.5 acre parcel of property, and it was originally enacted in 2010 to impose a 1 cent sales tax and a special assessment on the property for remodeling of that convenience store. With that, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Okay. Alderman Galloway?
Oh, sorry.
Oh, okay, sorry, Alderman Hutcherson. Oh, I'm sorry, it's a sunlight. It's coming through, look like it was on. Sorry about that. Okay. Any questions for our city attorney? Okay, is anyone here from the public tonight wish to speak regarding Resolution 2042? This is your time. Okay, I see no movement, therefore entertain a motion.
I move that we adopt Resolution 2042.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, motion is that we adopt Resolution 2042 that was made by Alderman Aiken and seconded by Alderman Hutcherson. All in favor of voting on the motion to adopt Resolution 2042, do so by show of hands. And that does carry. Okay, that in our formal business. Now we have reports. We're going to begin with our city administrator, Eric Johnson.
Yes, Your Honor. I have one item, and that is just a reminder that this Thursday, June 18th, we will have a work session starting at 11:30. I hope everyone can attend. We will be finalizing the agenda tomorrow morning. And if you are going to be unable to attend that, would you please let our city clerk know as soon as possible? That's all I have, Your Honor.
Okay. Next, we have a planning, Director Randall Whitman come back and talk about P&Z.
Unless there's any questions for me, I don't have anything to add to my written report that was in your packet.
Okay. Any questions? Yes, Alderman Galloway.
I did read Mr. Huggins' email, and then I did glance over the code. I didn't see anything that anybody had done anything wrong. It seemed like that the space for the windows had been framed. They're supporting roofs, and it was appropriate. Am I missing something?
I'll just respond in this way. We do inspections when asked to do them, and we don't always approve inspections. So there's probably a lot that goes on behind the scenes and there's a lot of activity there, and some of it's probably not up to par at the time of, I'm not sure when he goes there, but we're doing our best to watch it. We're communicating with the owner, the contractor. There's a lot that goes on behind the scenes, and we're doing our best to, from our perspective, we're not in charge of the contractor. We don't own the project. So our role is just simply that, to inspect work and make sure it meets the code, and we're actively doing that. So does that help?
I guess so. It sounds like what you're saying is that you're working behind the scenes to make sure everything is appropriate as it comes to the windows.
Yes.
And you
And as well as code enforcement. I mean, I know the site's continually been an issue. The fence, the site has to be secured by the building codes. People shouldn't be getting access to the building. It's a danger, and the weeds, everything. So we're addressing all of that. Sometimes limited success, we're not successful at that, but we are working at it, and we're in communication with the owner. The owner is a franchise group out of Michigan. They own a lot of stores, and they're very much absent from Ozarks, on a regular scene. So that adds a challenge to it. So there's a lot of obstacles with this project, but we are actively working on it. Yes, sir.
Okay, that's what I need to hear. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Next, welcome back, Director Hayden.
Good evening. I have 3 things to add to our monthly report. The first is that the Sertoma Duck Race is happening in Findlay River Park this week. They began setup today as a part of their tenure with the park, and it is going to be a big event. They have brought in a carnival, which is arriving today and tomorrow, and then the actual event is Thursday, Friday, and Saturday night, with the balloon glow happening Friday, and then the actual duck race happening Saturday. So we're very excited about that. That is a big event that takes up a lot of our staff time over the next week. And I know the police are in the same boat, helping support that event as it goes on this weekend. The second thing, I believe some of you are aware, but I want to make sure everyone's aware. We are in the process of moving the caboose. That is something that's been in the works for a while, but we are working through a contract that meets the needs to move that caboose. Now, that is an iconic piece of equipment in Findlay River Park. However, that iconic piece of equipment is at risk frequently. Just this last flood came up to the foundation. It did not quite touch the caboose, but I could give you photos from the last 30 years of that caboose underwater. It is something that's been there since 1983, and I would warn a guest that it's been underwater at least half of the years since that time. And I don't have the tenure since 1983, but I do have photo evidence of that piece. If you look at it, it's starting to undermine as the water flows, and so we will be moving it to the OC, to the Chadwick Flyer Trailhead, well out of the floodway, well out of the floodplain, and that's something we'll communicate as we get closer. The final piece is we had an amazing training this last week, and I want to share a video that our communications team put together. Our lifeguards are exactly that. They guard the lives of hundreds, if not thousands, of children at the pool over the course of the year. We partnered with Christian County Ambulance, Christian County 911, Christian County Fire, and of course our partners with Ozark PD to do a full simulation of a drowning situation. So many of you have seen Red Cross trainings where they say, well, EMS has arrived on scene, and the simulation stops, the training stops. Well, this took it from the very moment that lifeguard blows the whistle all the way to, unfortunately, in one of the simulations, to a pronounced death. It's very dark. I hate to talk positively about the duck race and a caboose and then go to that point, but it was really amazing to see the staff that we trust lives with on a daily basis. You all have a lifeguard team of around 60 to I think 63. I'll look at Tracy. 63 lifeguards that guard those lives at the pool. And to see them working alongside our emergency responders was really great. So with that, I'll let Maria play the video.
It's not a matter of if it's going to happen, it's when it's going to happen. So doing these trainings allows them to kind of see what it really would look like in an event, that if it actually happened, they're prepared and they know what to do.
answer any additional questions for Parks this month.
I was there that Friday morning, and the person leading, Lloyd Devine, made a comment. He was very impressed at the training that our lifeguards had received prior to this, because they've had the training in life safety when someone is in the pool, having to get them out of the pool with the backboard, the CPR, AED, and he commented that he said he could tell they've been trained very well. And I really appreciate the park department in your preparation for the simulation training.
It was our pleasure, and I can't say enough good things. The voice you heard at the beginning is our aquatic supervisor, Skylar Davis. She is, she's really top tier. She does not like public speaking, but she is amazing at training those staff and making sure that they're safe. I invited her to speak tonight, and she's happier working behind the scenes to keep those kids safe. But I do want to recognize her because she is the one that worked with those emergency services to organize this and make it happen.
Because this is the first time this has been done, and I commend y'all for what you did for the first-hand experience that they received, and pray that it never happens, but get in preparation if it does, know how to respond correctly.
Thank you.
Okay, any comments from the board? Okay, not seeing any. We do have a closed session on legal action and real estate, so I need a motion for us to go in closed session.
Motion to go into closed session.
Is there a second?
Second.
I think okay. Motion to go in closed session was made by Alderman Aiken, second by Alderman Bolte. Roll call, please.
Alderman Aiken.
Aye.
Alderman Bolte. Aye. Alderman Galloway.
Aye.
Alderman Hutchinson.
Aye.
Alderman Metcalf.
Aye.
Alderman Montgomery.
Aye.
We have 6 aye votes. Motion carries.
Okay, and we're going to take a quick break too before we go in there. I'm missing one. I know, I can't.
This. Yeah, we'll go to see this. Make sure you go.
Amanda's in there, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It is, it looks like a library.
Is there a motion for adjournment?
I move we adjourn.
Is there a second?
And I sent it.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, sorry. you
Wow.
Okay, did a motion for adjournment made by Alderman Montgomery, and second Alderman Metcalf. All in favor, please show your hands. Favor for adjournment, and that's carried. And we stand adjourned.
Thank you.